What are you still doing here? Her tone wasn't harsh, but it wasn't kindly either. Sylvie was indignant. Where should I be? Irina asked. Home. You mean this isn't my home anymore? Of course, she wasn't trying to drive Irina out of France or implying that she was an undesirable alien. You know what I mean? Yes, I do know, but aren't you forgetting that I've got my work here? My apartment, my children? Look, I know Gustav. He'll do anything to help you get back to your own country and your daughters. Let's not kid ourselves, they've already got their own lives. Good Lord, Irina, it's so fascinating. What's going on in your country? In a situation like that, things always work out. But Sylvie, it's not just a matter of practical things. The job, the apartment, I've been living here for 20 years now. My life is here. Your people have a revolution going on. Your people have a revolution going on. Sylvie spoke in a tone that provoked no objection. Then she said no more. By her silence, she meant to tell Irina that you don't desert when great events are happening. Can you see his own self having this conversation maybe? And there will be there would have been so many people caught in the same situation, right? Similar situations, not exactly same. The Velvet Revolution doesn't happen every day, right? They were seated across from each other over 2 empty coffee cups. Irina saw tears of emotion in Sylvie's eyes as her friend bent toward her and gripped her hand. It will be your great return, and again, your great return. And dear friends, when will my great return be to the country where I was? And it seems I've been pulled from there because great things were happening here. Or were they not? We'll find out. Anyways, repeated. The words took on such power that deep inside her, Irina saw them written out with capital initials, Great Return. She dropped her resistance. She was captivated by images suddenly welling up from books read long ago, from films, from her own memory, and maybe from her ancestral memory. The lost son, home again with his aged mother. The man returning to his beloved from whom cruel destiny had torn him away. The family homestead we all carry about within us. The rediscovered trail still marked by the forgotten footprints of childhood. Odysseus sighting his island after years of wandering. The return, the great magic of the return. I can live these words this morning as it's raining. It isn't exactly a thunderstorm. We need more rain actually, but if it rains more, my lane will be waterlogged and I need to go out today to get some voice typer installed. So, how about tomorrow? Chapter 2, I'm reading from ignorance, and because they are such movements, I need to comment. Talk about myself. That's the greatness of the novel. The Greek word for return is nostos. Algos means suffering. So nostalgia is the suffering caused by an unappeased yearning to return. To express that fundamental notion, most Europeans can utilize a word derived from the Greek nostalgia, nostalgia, as well as other words with roots in their national languages. Anoranza, say the Spaniards. Saudade, say the Portuguese. My first Portuguese word, not really, I've learned a couple, but Saudade, I mean Portuguese, for nostalgia. I will remember I'm applying for Portuguese citizenship. In such language, these words have a different semantic nuance. Often they mean only the sadness caused by the impossibility of returning to one's country, a longing for country, for home. What in English is called homesickness, or in German, Heimweh, in Dutch, Heimweh. But this reduces that great notion to just the spatial element. One of the oldest European languages, Icelandic, like English, makes a distinction between two terms. Soknor, nostalgia in its general sense, and Heimpra, longing for the homeland, which is always there. I mean, even when I migrate, I will always be missing even this dirty, dingy town where I first went to school. And how will I not? I wouldn't want to return here for good. That's different. But I would like to return here, frequently. Till I can. Till I'm too old to fly like that, right? So, longing for the homeland. Czechs have the Greek-derived nostalgia as well as their own noun, stek, and their own verb. This is a linguistic exercise. The most moving Czech expression of love, stajksa se mi po tobe. One, I yearn for you, the nostalgic for you. I'm nostalgic for you, the nostalgia for you, I'm nostalgic for you. I cannot bear the pain of your absence. In Spanish, añoranza comes from the verb añorar, to feel nostalgia, which comes from the Catalan. That's another separation story, right? Añorar itself derived from the, I'm reading all of these words in Hindi because I don't know their pronunciation, and because Hindi is the language that, I sort of initially used as official language before really learning English in school. And of course my dad was a professor of English, but still. So what I'm trying to say is that because it is my mother tongue mostly, so my accent comes from there. So I'm reading all of these Spanish, Portuguese, Czech, Icelandic words in Hindi rather than in English, because I'm fine with English, but still. So, just how we read, how we pronounce, how we adapt, how we learn. I'm very eager to learn. Catalan, enurar, itself derived from the Latin word ignorance, to be unaware of, not know, not experience, to lack or miss. In their etymological light, nostalgia seems something like the pain of ignorance, of not knowing. You're far away and I don't know what has become of you. My country is far away and I don't know what is happening there. Certain languages have problems with nostalgia. Such a beautiful sentence. Certain languages have problems with nostalgia. The French can only express it by the noun from the Greek root and have no verb for it. They can say Je menui di toi, I miss you. But the word senor is weak, cold, anyhow, too light for so grave a feeling, too light for so grave a feeling. The Germans rarely use the Greek-derived term nostalgia and tend to say, and I've learned German, Ich trinke Bier gern is the best sentence I can construct, though I drink no beer. Snehenschuss, in speaking of the desire for an absent thing. A Snehenschuss can refer to something that has existed and to something that has never existed, to both. My nostalgia for something that has never existed, right? जैसे कि जावेद अख्तर ने कहा है कि तुम पहले क्यों ना मिली, बट somebody else, मुझे याद है वो सब कुछ जो हुआ है. I think this is जावेद अख्तर. a new adventure, and therefore it does not necessarily imply the nostos idea to include in sehen shusht, sehen susht. The obsession with returning would require adding a complementary phrase, sehen susht nash der ver ganje nach der verlo ven kind nash der esteli, longing for the past, for lost childhood, for a first love. Wow. That was an exercise in not just pronunciation, but the meaning of words, how we understand any expression, any language, apart from the expression of our faces. How do we comprehend our emotions? How do we express them? It's kind of like saying, there is another Hindi song, Tere mere pyar ki khushboo gulabon mein bhi na milegi. It's a beautiful thing, but if you turn it into a satire, it means that things can turn so bad, I mean, people have sent people to prison, to people have been murdered, and people have died, lonely deaths. I mean, what not has happened in love, right? I mean, whoever said everything is fair in love and war, I don't agree with them, right? But the thing is, how do we comprehend an emotion, a feeling, the missing of someone, somebody that we had craved so much? How can that person become so unbearable that people kill them? People even kill in possession, right? I mean, right, the famous Desdemona story, and so many others after Shakespeare. But, people, it seems, kill in love because their lover loves someone else. So is that love? Of course not. So I think that the definition and the meaning and the comprehension of words, languages, as we understand them, our emotions change with time. Today we define love as something that can endure, but something that shouldn't be tested. Are you flexible? How flexible are you? Are you going to break? Are you going to surrender? Are you going to succumb? Are you going to fail? Are you going to fail me? If somebody tests me every day with this question, I certainly wouldn't call it love, I am talking about love, even love of a country, right? So lots of people, even Nirmal Verma has defined what is motherland, what is an adopted country. People who have had many, many lives living, loving in other places. Loving, I mean not just a romantic love, but having friends that are dear, having places, bars, restaurants, walkways, trails, all of those things can be dear, rivers, they're all a love story to an extent. I don't think that a love story is just made up of that story between a man and a woman. Of course, it has the most pull to it, it has that magical gravitational attraction, right? It makes the apple fall, so to speak. So, yeah, nostalgia. It was a very beautiful chapter, wasn't it? I haven't read Ignorance. I read bits of Slowness. I read other things by Kundera. Such a great writer. And when I heard of his death, I remembered then, where, how I had read him. And it just brought so many nostalgic memories around. So thank you for listening to me. Please like and subscribe. I am honored to have read and attempted all of these languages.